This is Emma Pace doing her report on Ella Flagg Young. Ella Flagg Young was born in Buffalo, New York to Theodore and Jane Reed Flagg in 1845. She didn't attend school until the age of 10 after teaching herself how to read and write. After only a few months, she dropped out because she wasn't being intellectually challenged and the lack of support from her parents. At age 15, Ella took the certification examination to become a teacher and passed, but was told she was too young to be a teacher. Ella was told she would never make it as a teacher by her mother, but she persevered on. She decided to set up her own practicum test to test her potential in the classroom. Ella decided the classroom was right for her, and she graduated in 1862 from the Chicago Normal School. In 1895, Young began studying part-time under John Dewey at the University of Chicago, and on her resignation as assistant superintendent in 1899, she was appointed associate professor of pedagogy at University of Chicago. I looked up the definition of pedagogy. I think that's how you say it. It is the method of practice of teaching, especially as an academic subject or theoretical concept. She received a PhD and was then advanced to full professor. Her dissertation, published as Isolation in the School, was the first of 3 volumes Young wrote for the University of Chicago series entitled Contributions to Education. She devoted her life to her teaching career, which spanned 53 years. She became superintendent of schools in Chicago in 1887, professor of education in the University of Chicago in 1899, principal of the Chicago Normal School in 1905, and was superintendent of schools of Chicago from 1909 until her resignation in 1915. Improvement in teacher training, recognition of teaching as a profession, and broadening of teacher responsibilities were the major policy goals of Young's office. She also included vocational and physical training in the school curriculum. Chicago schools experienced an expansion of the manual arts curriculum. Young succeeded in making those programs, as well as other academic ones, available to all interested students. Studies at the elementary school level were substituted with field trips, handicrafts, and other self-expressive activities whenever possible. Elementary school was also geared to the individual. She said, "Science obliged the college to recognize the ability of the mind that does not care for Greek." I love this quote because she's expressing how everyone is different. Not everyone's going to love Greek, so the education system needs to offer other choices for the varied needs of its students. Traditional content was not neglected. Instead, it was incorporated in a more meaningful way to the student. In middle schools, grammar schools at the time, again the effort was to recognize individual differences in aptitude and interest. High school students were given the opportunity to take a variety of 2-year vocational courses. A vocational school for girls was also open during this time. Young also suggested the board approve programs in ethics, morality, and she was successful in getting these programs approved. In 1910, a penny lunch program was also instituted. Young also recommended sex education courses be implemented in the high schools, and classes began in 1912. Young believed the best way to teach the subject was not through recitation and exercises on moral lessons, but through duties and responsibilities whose significance is interpreted in activities natural to childhood. She served on the Board of Education for the state of Illinois from 1888 to 1913. She was the first woman in America to head a large city school system. Young pioneered practices in what has come to be known as democratic school administration, and was among the first to organize school councils to give teachers a greater voice in the administration of schools. In 1910 to 1911, the membership of the National Education Association elected her its first woman president. Mrs. Young also identified herself strongly with the women's suffrage movement. She said, "I believe in it. I have not been an active suffragist because I've kept so busily to my own line, but I realized that had it not been for Susan B. Anthony and the other women who were pioneers in women's course, it would not have been possible for me to teach in any more than the one room where I began." When I started my research on Ella Flagg Young, I was so glad I'd randomly chosen her for my educational giant report. I love that she was the first woman to accomplish so much in education. She really blazed a trail for women like me wanting to have a career in education. She really started a structure for teachers and students that's still in place today, giving teachers a voice in school administration by creating a democratic school system. She was obviously a genius. She was basically self-taught. She taught herself to read. She had no parental support. And she basically educated herself until she went on and had her university experience and her education that she received there. She really was a pioneer of her times. She offered some of the vocational courses that she implemented then are still in practice today. Some examples of those are the manual arts programs, some of the additional field trips and experiences that are still offered in our elementary schools today, and the vocational programs and classes that are offered for the high school. Those things are still in place today and still offered today, and that's because of Ella Flagg Young. One of the other things I love about Ella is that she was so confident in what she was doing, that she totally knew what she wanted to accomplish.